Welcome. Your boys from the Shank Club NFL are back. My name's Nick. I'm your humble host, and along with myself, as usual, I've got my usual sidekick, Mr. Pete Bentman. Pete, how's it going?
It's going all right, thank you, mate. Yeah, it's another weekend. More gossip to talk about. Hopefully we're going to get a guest on from the Redskins, hopefully talking a bit of Redskins ball. But yeah, looking forward to it. Hope people are liking the new overlay that we've got on the screen. I reckon it looks neat. But yeah, looking forward to another show, mate. So why don't you tell the people how they can get in contact with us?
Right. Well, we are on various social media platforms, obviously, and I know we've had a lot of interaction, especially this morning. You can follow us on Twitter at the usual handle, which is at Shank Club NFL. We have a Facebook group, which is, again, Shank Club NFL. An Instagram, always Shank Club NFL. If you want to send us an email to come on the show, or you've got any concerns or things that we've talked about, you can email us shankclubnfl@mail.com. And of course, you are now watching us live, and we are on Periscope now at Shank Club NFL. And also, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Shank Club NFL. That way you will get notifications of when we are going live. So, Pete, what's been going on that you want to just briefly touch on before we bring our first guest in?
Right, well, loads of big news this week. Massive news, in fact. Obviously, Cam Newton going to the Pats. Patriots cheating like they always do. It's 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to everybody. Obviously, potentially might not have any preseason games. Washington Redskins possibly having to change their name, but being the Shank Club, there is only one huge piece of news, and it is the fact that the pubs are now open and we can go and get a drink. And I want to make a special shout out to Paul Brown, who is a big Cleveland's Brown fan. I saw him on social media trying to get his first pint in London today. And us being the Shank Club, I recognised where he was. It looked like he was in Leicester Square, chasing down at Witherspoons. He got on BBC News, and to give Cleveland Browns a big shout out, what did he do on the BBC News? He necked a Jägermeister shot. So good on you, Paul. Glad to see that the pubs are open and we can get out and have a drink at last. So that is basically Shank Club main news, that the pubs are open now and we can all go out and enjoy a nice pint. And I'm sure you're quite happy about that, Grandad.
Yeah, I'm loving the fact that pubs are open, definitely. And I did try and get Paul to come on the show. And unfortunately, he's too drunk. So he can't come on, unfortunately. And I don't think, I don't know where the dump button is quick enough, just in case he got a bit too out of hand. But anyway, we have our guest has arrived, Pete. So I shall bring him in.
Yes, go for it.
Hopefully this works. Here he is. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on, guys. Much appreciated.
Yeah, not a problem. So, Andy, you're at Redskins UK1 on social media.
I am indeed a proud Redskins fan. Well, I can say that still. Excellent. The name, not the fan bit.
We might have to just kick you out, Andy, because we're getting an echo where you're on your tablet. It sometimes happens, mate. So you might have to come back on your phone if that's all right. Is that all right, buddy?
Yeah, I don't have the audio will be on my phone, though.
Not too sure, but for some reason, when it comes on the tablet, we seem to get a bit of an echo. So if you can try to come back on your phone, mate, we'll give you a try.
Okay, dude, no problem.
Nice one.
I think the issue there with Andy is he's probably using. Do you remember I was getting echo when I was using my tablet, but with the headphones in, when I didn't have them in, it wasn't an issue. So hopefully we can get him back on.
Sort it out indeed, because we want to talk some Redskins. We want to find out what's going on over there. The only other thing I'd say, well, let's see if we can bring. I think Andy's still there. Let's see if we can bring him on and maybe sort of get rid of his headphones and see if that makes a difference. Andy, can you hear us, mate?
I can, mate. Yeah.
The only thing we've tried in the past, sometimes if you take your headphones out of your tablet and just talk via the microphone, sometimes we then don't get the echo. So I don't know if we can maybe try that and see if that works, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have them in first. I mean, it was through the tablet only.
Right, it's working fine now. So whatever you're doing now is
whatever you've done.
Oh, perfect.
Don't touch it.
Excellent. Right, well, it's good to have you on, mate. So obviously you reached out to us this morning, wanted to come and join in when the sort of news kind of broke today while you were sort of doing one of your podcasts. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the news broke last night. We record once a week on Redskins Tweet Team podcast. We do it like once a week, and the news broke. The Redskins put out the statement, obviously, last night about the name change. So while we were recording the podcast, that news broke. And then I was lucky enough today to do a bonus episode of the podcast with one of the producers from the ABC network over in the States, Winston Hilton, who kindly come on and we talked all things name change. So yeah, it's been a mad few, maybe 24 hours for me, but yeah, it's all go being a Redskins fan.
So tell me, Andy, I'm guessing it's being put to a vote, right, or something for them to change their name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that
mm-hmm.
Who votes on it? Is it the other teams in the NFL, the owners, or is it the fans, or how's it all work? Because obviously we are kind of green to this information, which is obviously why we got you on, because it is big news. So how is it going to occur if it occurs?
I mean, none of us actually know yet. I mean, is it over to Roger Goodell and the league vote on it? Does Dan Snyder just make the decision on his own? Obviously, they put a statement out last night to say, and all they're doing is considering it. No one actually knows. Dan Snyder could dig his heels in and say, I'm not going to change it, sort of thing. But as soon as you see companies like Nike and Pepsi and FedEx get involved, I'm pretty sure they're going to have to change the name now, because, once them big guns get involved, then it's getting serious. Obviously, it was in court 2-3 years ago, and the Redskins won it on a vote of 8-0 not to change the name. So if these companies like Nike and Pepsi they're above courts, shall we say? So no one actually knows how it's going to go down. If it's just Dan Snyder and the league sit down and talk. I mean, there's been talks of we're going to be the Washington Warriors, the Washington Renegades. Do we go back to being the Washington Braves? All sorts. So no one actually knows. Answer to your question, vote-wise, no one knows. I mean, who knows who makes it?
From what I've heard, am I right in thinking originally Dan Snyder kind of basically said that he wasn't going to change the name? And obviously with everything that's kind of happened, and now the big brands like Nike, Pepsi, and obviously FedEx basically sort of saying that they've got to change it. And I know Nick is a huge believer, and he says this all the time, money talks. And at the end of the day, these are the sort of companies that are pumping money into the Skins. Do you think that that's kind of the main reason why maybe this sort of Dan Snyder, he's kind of had a bit of a U-turn and realised that he's going to have to do something about it? Because I was having a look at something like over sort of 205 million FedEx paid back in 1998 for the naming rights, and they've got that until 2025. And obviously, with things moving forward, if people like that pull out with that sort of money, I dread to think, and other sort of big brands not wanting to invest, I think probably by the sounds of this time round, I don't think he's going to have a choice, is he?
No, I mean, you made a great point now. We just got into this on the podcast now. FedEx are the main distributor of the National Football League. So if you order something from the NFL shop, FedEx are the distributors of that, I don't know how it works over here, but I know if you I've ordered from NFL.com, it comes via FedEx. So yeah, like you're right in saying once they get involved, and Nike took everything Washington Redskins off their website.
That's
so you think of the revenue that they're going to lose. Yeah, you think of the revenue that they're going to lose from that. That alone, like you say, money does So I think, yeah, I mean, Dan Snyder, he put out the statement, I think it was a while ago now. He said, "I will never change the name. You can put this in blocked capitals. I will never change the name." Like you guys have just made the point, though, as soon as Nike, Pepsi, FedEx, they get involved, that like I stated this morning on my podcast, people's ears then prick back. The league then get involved. Roger Goodell then gets involved. As soon as these big guns start getting involved, and and they start kicking up a fuss, and you've got to worry. As a Redskins fan at the minute, I personally think the name will change now.
Yeah, I think with the sort of current climate and Black Lives Matters, I think they're going to have to do something. It's time that they do something. Whether you feel that it's a racist name or not, I don't think that really is relevant anymore. It is a new era. I think with Black Lives Matter going through, I really don't think that you boys you're gonna have to do something. But I guess the on everybody's lips is what you reckon. I know you sort of mentioned a few names there, but I mean, I was thinking sort of probably just go to Washington Reds, but obviously you've casted out a few other names there. But I'm thinking sort of maybe go Washington Reds. Mm-hmm. But there are obviously other names being branded about, is there?
Yeah, I mean, there's the Washington Warriors, the Washington Renegades, I want to get. I said, why can't we just be the Washington Skins? But then loads of people just tweeted me back saying, "Oh, it's just going to sound crazy, but people with skin defects are going to be offended that you just called yourself the Washington Skins." I'm like, there has to be a line that you have to draw. You know what I mean? I made a point on my podcast. We live in an actual world, not a snowflake world. Maybe a lot of people use that term, but Chicago Blackhawks, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys around chasing Indians. At the minute, just us that's being brought into the limelight, sort of thing. Again, the Washington Redskins name's coming up. Also, the Cleveland Indians put out a statement this morning. I don't know if you guys saw that. It come across my Twitter feed. Someone put it on there saying the Cleveland Indians put out a statement now saying they're going to have to change their name, but they're going to have to change their name potentially. So, I mean, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw on the line? You know what I mean?
To be honest, I think this is just all getting out of hand and ridiculous. The Redskins have always been the Redskins. Atlanta Braves. Now, Braves are, if I'm right, they're something to do with the Indians back in the day. So you can't be the Washington Braves. You got the Atlanta Braves, Blackhawks. I mean, the Cleveland Indians, as you mentioned. I mean, no one's, how many teams are going to have to change names because of this? It's just crazy. You can't. I don't personally. I'm not offended by the Redskins, the Blackhawks, the Indians, the Braves, or doesn't offend me because I've grown up with all of that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but to me, it's kind of like the naming rights of a football stadium, right? So I'm talking soccer. Mm-hmm. Like St James's Park should be the, stadium? I don't know, the Sports Direct Arena. But everyone says St James's Park. Same as if the Washington Redskins change their name to the Washington Mavericks or whatever, they'll still be referred to by probably all of their fan base and people that remember it as the Redskins. And I guarantee you, and as I said this on a couple of shows ago, this wouldn't have come about if it wasn't for the tragic incidents that we've seen in America with obviously the Floyd stuff and the riots and the looting. That brought all of this back to the fore. Now, knowing Dan Snyder as I do, I don't think he cares. And I really don't know if he'll be... Oh, we see. Have we lost Andy?
Looks like it, mate. Yeah, hopefully he'll come back on.
Oh, here he's back. Maybe his internet dropped. Hang on, I'll bring him back in.
Well done, mate.
Are you back with us? Yeah, back with us. So yeah, I don't think there would be all this sort of. How many team names are going to have to change because of this?
Well, yeah, if one happens, then obviously others are going to have to happen, aren't they? I can't see you're going to do one without the other. But this is the same with all of this. It just takes one person, one team to do something, which will then create change. And whether it's the right or wrong thing to do it, it's irrelevant. I think it's just something that's got to be done now. But I'm thinking sort of more the logistics behind it, though, because obviously the Redskins website is the Redskins. And everyone sort of handles and names like everything is Redskins, isn't it? It's abbreviated down like Brighton, their website Seagulls. If they change the name to Redskins, what the logistics sort of behind changing things? I mean, how does that work? Having a whole database, having a whole website set up as the Redskins, if that changes, I mean, are they potentially going to lose fans? Are they going to lose? I don't even know how it would even work. I guess this is some of the things that they're going to be talking in some of these meetings, I guess, Andy, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we chatted about it this morning, the potential of losing fans, and then we also said the potential of gaining fans. A lot of people are offended, and I see both sides of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Redskins fan, but it might get fans back into the stadium. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people that have with me over the last couple of days, I've spoken on social media, are like, if you change the name, I'm done.
Really?
I'm finished with the team. So yeah, a lot of people have said like, I'm done. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll still support the team. If we're the Washington Warriors, if we're whatever we are, as long as I think the thing is, if the team start to win, yeah, I mean, if the team start to win, say if we somehow made the playoffs, we had a really good season, I don't support the.
We lost Andy again. Possibly. Still there, Andy? Oh, he's frozen. I don't know if anybody else can see him. It's just me on my own by the looks of it. Basically, we're talking about franchise Washington Redskins at the moment. We are talking about the fact that basically the news is all saying that they're potentially going to be changing the name. And the owner has been meetings, big investors, Pepsi, Nike, FedEx, saying that they're going to be pulling money and not going to be supporting them if they don't change the name. So we brought Andy from Redskin UK1 onto the channel to try and talk about it. And he's obviously sort of given us the fans' view. I think we have lost Andy. I think he's having problems with his internet. But it's a big deal, obviously, what's going on in the world today. As I was sort of saying earlier on, it's just going to take one of these teams. It's old school now. I know that's the team name, and people are going to say, you can't change it. But it's just one of them things. You change it, another generation of fans come through, and you completely forget that was the name of the team. I guess it's no different to upping and moving a franchise. It goes, it changes. People still follow the team. It brings in new fans. It might lose some, and then in a couple of years, 5 years, another generation of fans come through, and that's all that I know. I'm sure it's no different to me with like the Colts and things like that, where they're sort of up to move, but it's not my generation. I wasn't sort of aware that it was even that before I kind of researched it and looked back. So I'm pretty sure there's no reason why they can't change the name of the Washington Redskins, whether it be, like I say, Washington Reds, or as Andy was saying there, Washington Warriors or something like that. If you're that petty to not follow your team because they've changed the name, then like that just seems a little bit surreal to me. I appreciate that. Over in America, it's a little bit different to maybe what it is us in the UK, but we sort of don't obviously sort of really think too much about things like that because it's not on our doorstep where it is over there. But fingers crossed I can get it sorted. And as I get the name changed, because at the end of the day, we want to talk about football. We don't want to talk about the politics within the game. We just want to be talking football. So fingers crossed they get that sorted. And I don't know, my shout definitely is going to change to the Washington Reds. Whether Andy's going to come back on, I'm not too sure. I was hoping that we could talk a little bit more about Washington Redskins in general because I don't know too much about them. I've been watching for a little while. It seems as though Nick is now back, and hopefully we've got Andy back as well. I think I've done a pretty good job considering I was just all on my lonesome. Welcome back, fellas. I thought it was just the Pete Bentman show, but nice to actually have some company. It was getting lonely in the Shank Club, so glad to have you back.
No, I wasn't the only one that low. It must be. I think you do smell, mate. I think that's it.
Unfortunately, I had a dog that had crossed its legs for long enough, and I had to go and let the old girl out. Bless her. It wasn't me that had to uncross my legs.
Well, so, I mean, all I was sort of basically sort of talking there was just reiterating what we were sort of saying. But yeah, maybe we could sort of move on and have a little bit sort of more news just on the Skins in general. I mean, it wasn't a great season for you guys last year. New quarterback in a pretty poor division. You were still, was it your 3 wins last year, was it, Andy? So
Yeah.
I'm guessing with a new coach, another year under Haskins' belt, 2nd round pick with Chase Young, you're expecting a much better season, I'm guessing, mate.
Yeah, I mean, mate, it can't get much worse than last season, can it, Cheese? If it does, then oh my gosh, we won 3 games. But yeah, Haskins now has a full season. We've now got, we've got Chase Young. I mean, what a player he looks. I mean, I've been obviously I don't watch a lot of college football, but from what I've seen of him, he looks unbelievable, and everyone speaks highly of him. So. And I've been watching Haskins, all his stuff he's been posting on social media. What we'll do, I don't know. I mean, I personally think we might surprise a lot of people, and we could get a wild card. But the good thing is no one's expecting anything off us. Even obviously you guys outsiders looking in. I mean, you're lucky you support fairly decent teams. I mean, I've supported the Redskins since 2000, and I've seen us win 1 playoff home game in that time. So it's pretty depressing times being a Redskins fan. But I think what Ron Rivera has given us, and what I've stated on previous podcasts and shows that I've done, is given us hope, which is, as a Redskins fan, we haven't had too much of over the last few years. I mean, I've stated many times the last time I had hope was when we got RG3. You remember when he first come in to the team? There was a real uplift, and there was a real buzz around the Washington Redskins.
Wasn't his first play from scrimmage a touchdown pass?
Yeah.
For 80 yards or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. And
I remember watching that live and thinking, blimey, look out. And then all of a sudden it was the same old Redskins.
Well, I was watching him at college when he was at Baylor, and he was putting up some serious numbers. So I was expecting sort of big things when he came into the NFL.
Trouble is, I think. Sorry, Andy, carry on.
No, go on, mate. You're all right. Go on, buddy.
I was going to say, the thing is, everyone looks good in college until they get to the pros, and if they're a wrong fit for the scheme, or the O-line's trash, or you don't have any receivers, you could put any QB that. I mean, even Tom Brady looked ordinary when he first came into the league with that team. So.
I mean, Nick, I know you are a huge Alex Smith fan. And I didn't realise he was the backup there. I mean, what are the chances that, I know pre-season's not going to be great this year. I know he's coming back from.
Unfortunately, it's like a Ryan Shazier situation to me, Pete. I don't think he'll. I mean, I don't know if you've seen. Honestly, have you, Andy? Have you seen the pictures of his rehab and how bad his leg is?
Did you guys catch the ESPN documentary they done on him?
I haven't, but
I'll find it somewhere and I'll tweet you guys the link. And obviously they showed it from when he done it to now, and his leg. Oh my God! I mean,
honestly, it doesn't look. It looks like an arm, doesn't it? It doesn't look like a leg.
Yeah, I mean, the strange thing is, he generally, you'll watch his documentary, and I don't know if you'll change your opinion, because obviously, it's very unlikely. He generally thinks, he thinks he'll play again. He thinks he'll be, whether it'll be with us at the Redskins. He genuinely believes at the end of that documentary, you'll see now, I don't know if you've watched what his wife posts on social media, on Instagram, he's now out in a field throwing, better than any of us.
Yeah, that's the
throwing with his standard. That he might sort of be making a run in pre-season, because I saw him sort of throwing balls, and I heard obviously didn't watch the documentary, but I must have sort of caught a snippet on the news or somewhere. But I saw him looking fit as anything, throwing balls, and people saying, this guy's going to come back. So.
I mean, it's all well and good throwing balls in a park, in a field, when you've got no one running at you. I could go outside, and there's a field outside my house now. I can go and throw a football, but can he come back and have people rushing at him? And as soon as he gets tackled on that leg, oh my God, it's.
I mean, he's a warrior.
Don't get me wrong.
All of that he's gone through, it's again. Ryan Shazier exactly the same. They've been saying all the same things, and you get to a point where you know that it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, and I love Alex Smith. What he did for that first year under Harbaugh, and the second year until he got injured. Yes, he's a game manager, but he's a tough SOB. Plays the game how it should be played, and yeah, I mean, I don't like looking at things, like horrible injury, and his leg just doesn't look like a leg. It's his ankle is just, you wouldn't even think it's just horrible. But I had to watch it because it's him, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Seriously, I mean, try and watch the documentary. It opened my eyes a little bit. He's got half of his arm now on his leg.
That's right. Yeah, they grafted it on there, didn't they?
Yeah, they've grafted it on there. So, I mean, will he play again? I think I'm tendency to agree with you guys. I don't think he will, but I've learned now never to say never. The way 2020 is going, God, he could play the last game. This is the maddest year ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as you say, it's all well and good, and I'm not going to bring up a certain player that used to play for the 49ers at quarterback who wore number 7. Anyone can look good. Anyone can look good when you haven't got 350-pound edge rushers coming at you. Anybody can.
Yeah.
Even Big Ben, mate. And I know you're a big Steelers fan, and he's back. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Until you see him under pressure, or Alex Smith, or whoever's coming over a big injury that plays a key position, doesn't matter. Pete, me and you could look like Tom Brady. But unless you put...
my big worry, though, this season with us potentially was obviously something else I wanted to sort of talk about today was the fact that they are saying that there could be no pre-season games. So for
makes no difference.
Like people like Big Ben that isn't able to get a competitive snap to sort of really see how his rehab's gone, whether he can sort of, have these guys rushing him full pace. And I think there's going to be, many players like that. And it's going to be a worry going straight into week 1 with no pre-games. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I mean, I understand why they're doing it. And I guess it's not like the English Premier League where they can sort of put the games back by a couple of weeks so they can have some pre-season games. I appreciate that they're not going to do that. And I understand why they're potentially not having any pre-season games. But for the actual players themselves, I'm wondering if that's actually more dangerous to not have a pre-season game and go straight in all guns blazing week 1. I mean, Andy, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, mate. Oh, we might have lost Andy.
No, is he back?
Go on, Nick, what do you think about that, buddy?
I've told you what I think about pre-season. You show me a meaningful snap where offensive and defensive lines are hitting as hard as they would in a real game. It's all smoke and mirrors. The offense is vanilla, the defense is vanilla.
There's players there, though,
but it's not
for roster positions.
The only concern, and obviously our friend Cale Garrett is on the bubble in Tennessee. That's the only thing that pre-season is good for the stiffs and the people that are on the bubble to play in an NFL game. But not an NFL game, because pre-season means nothing. That's why the starters play 2 or 3 snaps in the first game, don't play in the second game, play a half in the third game, and you don't even see any of the starters even in the stadium half the time in the fourth, because it's a waste of time. Pre-season,
I know what you're saying. As a spectacle watching games, I can completely understand what you're saying. But like I say, for at our right tackle position, we've got 2 players we don't know which one's going to be playing, and without having a pre-season, the starters, maybe they don't want to go all in, but these guys that are potentially on the bubble to actually sort of be starters or actually get in the roster, I do feel that these games are vital to those. But not just that, but just to go straight in week 1 when that game matters with no sort of pre-game. I don't know. I just think risking injuries and risking other things that's different. I mean, I appreciate COVID could be fatal. We've got players like Cam Hayward who's got asthma on our team, so it is massively important. But
I've got a feeling they will extend training camp or something like that to, and again, yes, I know, but you see the hits in training camp are probably just the same as they are in a pre-season exhibition game. So,
you know, see it as much as a big deal or anything then? No.
Players that the players on the bubble and the rookies, yes. The people that are coming into their sophomore years and, you know, the vets, they don't need training camp because they don't really do a lot. They don't need pre-season. They probably play, as I said, one series in the first game, nothing at all in the second, a half possibly in the third game, and they don't even get dressed for the fourth game. And the offense, as I said to you before, it's vanilla offense, it's vanilla defense. I can't say special teams and returns and things like that, you know, punt returns and kick returns. But it's all smoke and mirrors, the pre-season. And yes, it will affect rookies and unsigned. And that was a cross between unsigned and undrafted free agents. But, you know, yes, that will affect them. Yeah. And, you know, I do feel sorry for Kale because obviously we want him to make the roster. He may show enough in training camp that they think, do you know what? We're going to take a risk on this kid. Yeah. He'll make our 55-man roster. And then, because obviously, and then if it comes up and they play games and he's as good as we certainly think he is, then he'll be fine. But there's always that risk, and you can see it with loads of players, not just him, but any of these undrafted guys or these late round drafted guys. You know, they come with this, oh yeah, we're going to be good enough, and then they get into it and they're not. So it's a gamble either way, mate. To be honest.
Yeah. So for you, just making sure they sort of have training camp is probably more important. Pad that out, have a decent training camp, and just go straight in week one.
Yeah, because as I said previously,
I know you've never been a fan of the pre-games.
I can't. No, and I went to, as we were discussing when we had the Miami Dolphins on. Both of us were at that game at Wembley years ago, where you got 2 minutes of Joe Montana and 5 minutes of Dan Marino. And you could tell that it wasn't full speed, but we got to see our heroes. Yeah. And a lot of the other thing as well, a lot of the fans that can't afford to go to regular season games, the only time they guarantee they can get a ticket at a reasonable price is pre-season. So again, that affects what goes on.
Well, I think the other thing that they were sort of thinking as well is, I think, obviously still in the pipeline, because obviously this is still speculation, nothing's been answered or anything, but there's a possibility as well, as they were trying to arrange 2 pre-season games because they need one home, one away, because every team needs a home game to work out how they're actually going to be able to cope with potential social distancing and sort of COVID protocols. And that's obviously the other thing, is how I can only assume that the teams must want at least one home game to be able to work that out, or otherwise for the fans going into that stadium and the players and the media, it could be absolute chaos, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the further we get down the road and the more you hear, I think it's going to be behind closed doors, like it is with the EPL now. And we've watched lots of Premier League games. Obviously, we watched Brighton earlier, we won 1-0. Did it make any difference to you that it was piped fans? And
I'll be honest, the first couple of games I was watching, it bothered me. Now it doesn't bother me. And
no, because you've got used to, you've got used to the soppy piped thing with the bloke on the soundboard going, ooh, ah, and yay, it's a goal.
Yeah, they're getting better at it.
Yeah. And they're actually bringing in some away chanting now, which is quite amusing. I saw when Chelsea played West Ham the other night, you heard occasionally the Chelsea songs and stuff, which was quite funny. But
let's just hope it all ends up okay. And at the end of the day,
I mean, at the end of the day,
we just want football, don't we? We want it to be the best it can be, But I think
But I think
anything.
To be honest, and again, you do see it. We have seen it with the Premier League. Home field advantage, when you've got a home crowd, does lift the players, and that kind of doesn't. I don't know how that's going to translate, into American football. I mean,
Kansas and Seattle and everything with such dominant, loud places.
Yeah, but they pipe crowd noise. They pipe crowd noise into Seattle already, so that's a load of old rubbish. But Kansas City, any home team, or for instance, going to when the Niners go up to the Rams, it's a red out. When they go to certain other grounds, you get a lot of Niners fans. The same with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh travel well. So
obviously it's going to be a shame, isn't it? Obviously, new stadiums like the LA one, the one in Vegas. It's going to be a shame if it is behind.
No, it'd never be a shame in Vegas.
But at the end of the day, I know the fans want to go to the stadium and they want that game day experience. But we just want football, don't we?
Football's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do, because again, it's really funny again going back to soccer, because all those rules were brought out, weren't they, about players have got to be a certain amount away, and you're not allowed to celebrate goals, and you can only do that. It doesn't, because they all know. But I know they're getting tested 3 times a week, and obviously I'm pretty sure the American football people would be the same. I know it's on a bigger scale because you've got a lot more players and coaches. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they reduce the number of coaches or make that players box that they've got on the sideline, they extend that out so that they can be kind of separated a bit, possibly. I mean, I don't know. It'll be. Mike
Tomlin won't be able to trip players up anymore. I mean, what's he going to do if he can't get that close to them?
It's all right. He'll get an extra long broom handle with a Nike trainer on the end and just luzz it out at someone, and then say, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking," even though he was looking directly at the geezer. It'll be I think the NFL have got to move fast onto how they are going to implement it, or say, right, we're going to shut the season down. Personally, as I said,
it won't. I think it's not going to.
They can't not, because it's too much money. Because the other thing is as well, which I was listening to the Nothing But Niners show the other night. Shout out to you boys. That someone had tweeted that the salary cap for next year will be affected because of the thing. So then that will affect every team that's got to pay their players. I mean, the Niners, for instance, have got 36 people that finish their contract after this season, and if you lower that salary cap, you ain't going to be able to bring the players back because there's not going to be the money, and that could be the same for loads of teams.
It's going to be many affected by that, that's for sure. But
you see, they still
a lot more for them to sort out, isn't there? Certainly a lot more for them to sort out.
But they still got the revenue coming from obviously the TV and also all of the that's to the NFL obviously, and to for the advertisers, and we all know how much an advert costs in the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. 30-second ad is millions.
Yeah.
People will still, but the thing is, Pete, people will still watch it at home.
Yeah.
In theory, let's say, I mean, we're not in America and we've got Game Pass, so it doesn't affect us. But if you're in America and you want to watch Kansas City, as your team, and you go to all the games, but unfortunately you can't go, and they refund your season ticket, which means you can buy Sunday ticket or NFL Direct or Game Pass or whatever. They'll claw the money back that way, because there's no way people aren't going to want to see their team. So either way, they're laughing. Yeah. It's just not the revenue for the hot dogs and the beverages and the beer and the tailgating and all that stuff. That'll all have to go, because if they reduce the number of people in the stadium, they're going to have to stop the tailgating and all the rest of it that goes on outside.
Of course, yeah. It's not going to be a normal game day experience for sure, even if it goes ahead. So maybe.
But then you see,
might be the answer if that's the case.
and America, as we know, is a totally different country, and we all know who's leading it, etc. And until they make decisions, we're not going to know how it's going to work. But anyway, time's moving on, Pete. So let's get rid of that subject, and we'll see what happens.
I was just going to quickly say, obviously, we're going to talk maybe a little bit more Skins football. But obviously, Andy has unfortunately had to leave us by the looks of it. He didn't have a great sort of signal there. But thanks for his time coming on, and hopefully we can get him on again another time talking Skins and maybe do an NFC sort of East show and get some more of the guys on. Before we go on to probably our last topic of the show, just want to big up Pick 6 Apparel for our mugs. They're looking good.
What up?
So thank you very much, Pick 6 Apparel. Cheers, Grandad.
Cheers, Pete. And my tea, wink, wink, tastes lovely out of my Shank Club mug. It's lovely.
It is nice. So what do you reckon, mate? Should we can't obviously do a show with the news this week. Obviously, Cam Newton signing for the Pats. We're going to have to talk about it, I guess. I mean, I've got a little bit to sort of say on it. Do you want me to start, or do you want to go in?
No, Pete, you probably got a hell of a lot more to say on Cam Newton than I have.
It's not so much necessarily Cam Newton as a person. Just for me, it's something that I just feel fits. It suits every party. At the end of the day, the Patriots got an absolute bargain. Whether he's fit, whether he's not fit, whether he's 80%, spending £1 million on him on a minimum deal to get him in is, to me, a no-brainer. Even an 80% Cam is probably going to win training camp and be their starter come week 1. If he lights it up, he's a winner as well, because he's only on a 1-year contract, and then all of a sudden, second season, he'll be able to get or demand a huge contract from any team that will want him because he's proved that he's fit. The Pats might want to keep him. Obviously, they're going to have Antonio Brown and Brady's money that they're paying this year coming off the wage bill, coming off the salary cap. So they might well sort of be able to pay him some big bucks to say. But, I mean, it amazes me looking at what he's in. I think from memory, it's something like it's minimum, isn't it? But you can get something like $7.5 million through.
Yeah, basically he's on a vet
and stuff,
a vet minimum contract, which I think is something like $780,000. Yeah. But then the rest of it, so he could earn up to $7.5 million, but that's long way down the road.
Players like Andy Dalton and Marcus Mariota that are going in for much bigger contracts as backups. So for the Pats, it's an incredible deal. If he's or anything, I mean, I'm not expecting him to go in. I still think the Bills are going to go and win that AFC East. I think the Bills are legit. I think they're strong. I think they're going to do really well. And even with an 80%, even 100% Cam Newton, I think going in, all of them players for the last 20 years, that franchise, all they've known is Brady. So to think that even a decent QB coming in there, even fitting a scheme, is going to light it up like Brady did, I think is pretty naive. I still think the Bills are going to be the team to beat in the AFC East. I think with Cam there, there's potential for them to maybe make the playoffs. They're certainly not going to win a Super Bowl, I don't think, in the first season with Cam, but they'll be better with him there. Even if he's 80%, he'll be better. But I think all of a sudden thinking, I've seen polls, I've seen media things, all of a sudden the Patriots are the third favourites to win the Super Bowl, they're the favourites to win the AFC East. I think that's all crap. I don't believe that for a second. I think they'll be better with him there. I think they'll have a chance to make the playoffs with him there. But I still think the Bills are the team to beat in that division. And it works. There's no way with Stidham, I didn't think they would ever be making the playoffs. It gives them a chance with Cam there if he turns up and he's 80%. If he doesn't, I don't really think they'll be going anywhere anyway. But it's a good fit. It's a good deal for all parties. It's going to be good to see him in a division if he plays, but I certainly don't think that he is going to be lighting things up. And with his signature on the contract, I don't think they're going to be winning a Super Bowl this year, that's for sure.
No, you make some very good points. Yes, it's a win-win situation for both parties, but the thing I like about it is the contract he signed. Now, he wants to play football.
Do you like it for him or you like it for the Pats?
No, I like it for the Pats because they're getting him on the cheap. And again, I'm not going to bring his name up,
No.
but if he wanted to,
mention it on the show.
if he wanted to play football, he would have done exactly the same as what Cam Newton's done, and he won't. He signed up for a Netflix series or an Amazon Prime or whatever it is. So it will be interesting to see whether it was all Belichick or it was all Brady or it was a mixture of both, because, you know, I think Cam Newton's broke, and it will be interesting to see if he's fixed, because, again, just like we said earlier, it's all well and good going into training camp and throwing bombs in drills, but until you've got someone bearing down on you and crunches your knee and your foot and your arm and your shoulder, because that's what he's coming off, whether he's fully healed. And there's nothing better than getting that first hit and bouncing back up and doing the old Superman ripping your shirt open malarkey and continuing to do that. Do I think they'll go to the Super Bowl? No. And to make them third favourites, I think is a joke.
Yeah, it is a joke.
Because, you know, I would, like you, I would put obviously Kansas City above them. I'd put your lot above them, even though I think your lot are going to have a bum season. But that's just obviously a bit of banter between us. But I'd make them fifth. I'd even put the Jets above them.
Well, it's
so
interesting.
it's going to be interesting to see how Cam Newton plays, to see if either the ego has landed or the fact, you know, he's on a prove it deal to himself. He may not even, because you said if he lights it up this year and takes them to 8-8, for instance, a big contract will be round the corner. Will New England take it? Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And yeah, as we say, we're going to see a lot, whether it was Brady or Belichick or a bit of both. So yeah, it's a win-win situation at the end of the day for parties, and I'm glad that he didn't demand a lot of money, and he's coming on the minimum, and it's a prove it deal. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think what you said there as well about the fact that he's chosen to go somewhere for that minimum. I know as it stood, it was probably the only place he could go and potentially be the starter. But the fact that training camps haven't started yet or anything like that, we all know, I'm sure there's going to be someone that goes down, and he probably could have got a much bigger contract somewhere else. But that is obviously sort of being very risky, isn't it? And, you know, signing the contract.
Well, it is gambling. I mean, basically, he could have gambled and said, right, I'm not going to sign this. But again, without training camp, without doing personal workouts, I mean, New England don't know that he's fully fit, because he hasn't had a physical, because he can't go to the facility.
I was going to say, do you think that this is also the Patriots obviously looking at an era after Brady, looking at the way football's going with Mahomes at Kansas, with Jackson at Baltimore? Are they thinking that they might have to now go with a different skill set quarterback? And if they bring Newton in, they can start bringing in different plays to then potentially bring someone else from a draft or another player in, and maybe thinking, you know what, we maybe need to sort of, now Brady's not there, we need to change the way we play football, and looking at these other teams and what they're doing, perfect chance for us to sort of maybe put a player in there and sort of run up, you know, draw up some plays and see how it goes, and then sort of move on possibly.
I don't think, to be honest, they will change the way they play, because it's the Patriot way, and that's what you got to remember. The way the players conduct themselves, the way that the team is, the way that Belichick does stuff. The only way that's going to change is when he retires, and then maybe the owner will still say to the new coach, "This is how I want it to run." I don't think it's going to change. It's not going to be like with Brady going to Tampa. Brady holds all the cards, as I said on a previous show, and I think it's going to be a Brady offense. Here, it won't be. It's going to be a Josh McDaniel and Bill Belichick, and that will not change because that's the way they do it. You've only got to look at the skill players that they let go, Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, because they couldn't do the Patriot way.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and that's a big thing. So, again, you may see a different personality from Cam Newton because he annoys me. He really annoys me.
I don't
he
think
is.
he's going to be able to be who he is with Belichick there. Belichick's the boss there at the end of the day, mate. And
he'll be, this is how we do things here.
Maybe what he needs.
You do it. And there's no grey area.
No,
so, you know, we'll see. Anyway, is there anything else you want to bring up, or should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of mention as well, obviously, if the Patriots are going to cheat, why don't they film a team that's actually worth watching rather than tape the Bengals? Because they ain't going to learn much from taping the Bengals, mate, are they, to be fair?
But talking of that, right, did you see that they got the cheating thing came out and they were found guilty, and then within an hour and a half, Cam Newton had signed.
16 minutes later, mate.
Oh, was it 16?
Minutes
there you
later.
go.
Yeah.
Takes the heat off them.
Yeah.
But don't worry,
they know exactly what they're doing. Yeah,
you're
going to get your comeuppance, Pats. We're going to love watching you this year.
We know what you've been doing, and we're not, especially when we get the UK Patriots on.
Yeah,
we know. So don't think your little 15 minutes is going to, you know, deflect or deflate, as it were, depending on, you know, which year you're in. But we're going to forget because we don't. Anyway, Pete, it's been a good show.
It's been a good show. Good to chat, mate.
Pete Andy obviously dropped out, but yeah, we'll get him back on at some point when we do other shows.
Indeed. Hopefully on the 18th, we're going to be doing AFC South show. That's certainly the plan, isn't it? So hopefully we can get that lined up. I know our buddy from Jags across the pond is trying to sort it out.
Our fixer. So
hopefully on the 18th, we're doing AFC South show, which I'm looking forward to. But Grandad, thanks again for the show, mate. You are the president. Obviously, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day to all our American viewers.
Definitely. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Don't burn yourself on any fireworks.
Yeah. As I say, if you do want to get in contact with us, you can via all our social media platforms. Just before we go, you can email us at shankclubnfl@mail.com. You can find us on Twitter at ShankClubNFL. You can find me on Twitter at WinWithNiners. Pete's handle is up there at PeteBentman1. Like and subscribe to YouTube and all our other social media platforms. But please, 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 thank you for joining. Don't forget, we will be back probably the 18th, but maybe sooner, because I know Pete comes up with these kooky ideas where he says he's not doing it, and then all of a sudden I get a message we're doing a show, and that's it. Yeah. So happy 4th, everybody.
Indeed.
My name is Nick. He's Pete. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again soon. Peace.